Hello?
Hello.
What's going on?
Nothing much, just average Wednesday. How are you?
Oh, great, man. Yeah, good. I'm back from tour. Sorry, one of my dogs is chewing his rubber chicken chew toy. Stop it!
Oh no, I love it. That's the
It's
thing.
fairly average. It's not. I've been on tour, so this is like my second day back. So it hasn't
hmm
been average. Most of my average day Wednesdays is waking up at a gas station and starting another 12-hour drive or something like that. But
Yeah.
now I'm home. I had breakfast with my girlfriend. And now I'm hanging outside with my dogs. It's great.
Now you're just chilling though, right?
Yeah,
Because you're on tour. How was that?
tour was great, man. It was brutal. There was a lot of driving and a lot of work to be done. We didn't have a crew. It was basically me, my drummer, and then my tour manager, and then our crew guy. So we didn't have much of a helping hand. So we were the ones doing all the work pretty much. But that's the way we wanted it.
Yeah.
One of the things I was most excited to do on tour was just to work my ass off. Sorry if I shouldn't say ass. But it was great. It was some of the biggest crowds I've ever played to, mostly sold out shows. And it was a lot of fun.
And this was your first time performing these songs, right?
It was, yeah. I had a couple of songs that I played off my old EP. But for the most part, this whole Drugs album EP was the first time me playing these live. And it was great, man. The kids loved them. There were a lot of songs that I wasn't expecting to be like the highlight, but a lot of people knew a lot of the songs I didn't think were going to be like the majority of the consensus of what people liked, So
How is that though, writing this and then putting it out and then performing live, the process? What's your favorite part about it?
yeah, I think honestly, I love writing music and being in that creative space and being in the studio. That's one of my favorite things to do. And it never trumped releasing music. Like releasing music, I can live with or without. It's the writing that really is awesome for me. But then also getting able to perform it is like the second best. It's like there's something really magical. As goofy as it sounds, magical that happens when like kids are singing your lyrics back to you that you wrote and you spent a lot of time on, and it's really interesting and emotional. Like if you kind of sit back and really take in the whole moment of everybody singing the lyrics that you wrote and like took time to write and thought out. It's definitely like a emotional process, But yeah, writing and being able to play them live is probably my favorite out of the whole entire process.
When did the writing for this specific EP start?
It started about a year ago, a little over a year ago. It started just as so I'm with a record label called Big Noise Music Group, and I've gotten really close with them and the people who run it and the producer over the years, and we were ready to start recording again. So it came about just as any other like recording process. It was going to be normal, but at the same time, I was becoming sober, for the first time. So I didn't really plan to write about sobriety. It just sort of happened because that's what was happening in my life at the time. So yeah, we started recording this album about a year ago. And there's a lot of unreleased songs that I'm probably going to hopefully release at some point, but it just didn't work with the whole sober concept of the EP, So I'm sitting on a few really cool ones that I might release at some point.
Did you go into writing knowing that this was going to be a solo album?
I didn't. No, it was originally going to be Five North again, but halfway through it, I kind of realized that like it felt right. There was COVID going on, and I was basically a solo group. Like my drummer was
Yeah.
stuck in Australia, and my bassist started a new career, so I was kind of just like writing music alone. And it just felt right to. I don't know. It just felt right to do the solo thing. Also, my name has more of a following than I think any other band name I could think of, unless I call it Blink-182. I can't do that.
You did get Travis Barker, name
I
on there,
did.
so.
I did get Travis. So
Mhm.
that was awesome. Yeah, so I didn't really know I was gonna go solo. It just kind of felt right. Like I follow my gut
Mhm.
a lot when it comes to everything in my life, especially with
Yeah.
music. Um, and then I also had some advice from Fem, who said that I think it's a good move. So I took it.
Do you find it harder or easier when you're like writing something so personal?
Um, I've always been one to try to be really transparent with what I do, whether it's writing or being on social media or being in an interview.
Mhm.
I've always tried to kind of just like tell it how it is through my eyes. So it's never, it's never hard to be brutally honest with my lyrics. I enjoy it. I think a lot of people do that, but I always think there's more room for people to be extremely honest in their lyrics, especially when it's something that is really like heavy and that people can relate to and hopefully help move people past. Like this last tour that I just did, I had a lot of people coming up to me after the shows and saying how much they related to my new album and the
Mhm.
lyrics and the content. And I forget about that. I forget about that whole process that people are gonna like be feel related to the stuff that I'm writing about. I mean, it's definitely one of the reasons why I want to do it in the moment, but I just kind of forget that other people have this story and can take something from it. So, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And being on stage with the emotional reaction from the crowd, does that affect your performance as well?
It has in the past. So this is this time. So I normally play pretty punk rock. Like
Mhm.
it's just we set up our guitars and drums and that's it, and bass. But this time around we had in-ear monitors so that we could hear ourselves,
Yeah.
um, and then also hear all the tracks. Like we had 9 backing tracks because I didn't have a bassist with me. It was just me and a drummer, and so there was a lot of stuff on the actual album, like background vocals, bass, other guitars that we wanted to help fill out the sound to make it sound as
Mhm.
close to the recorded version as possible. Um, but it was a different process for me because I had these in-ear monitors in for the first time, and I couldn't hear the audience. So there was some moments where I was like, are they enjoying the show? And then like I watched the videos later and they're like screaming along with the lyrics and
Mhm.
really loud, but it was a bit of a disconnect. So I'm still trying to figure
Yeah.
that out. Like when next time I do it, I do think the in-ear monitors are necessary, but I want to try to maybe take them out every now and then so I can
Mhm.
hear what the audience has to say or something like that. Um, but I definitely have gotten emotional on stage before and started to like cry a little bit, but I didn't. I quickly recovered. It's
Yeah.
emotional. Especially when the
Yeah.
song is really has a deep meaning for me. Like I wrote a song about my mom who passed away, and this was in my other band. And being able to sing those lyrics on stage and have the kids sing them back to you is like it's unreal. It's hard to describe a little bit. It's emotional, man. It kind of just like
Mhm.
hits you in like a place you didn't think that would hit you. You didn't think you'd be crying on stage at a punk rock show.
Is it therapeutic in a way though, songwriting something so personal?
Yeah, it is. I think the most therapeutic process is when somebody comes up to me and tells me like, "Look, I'm going through the same exact thing. I totally understand
Mhm.
what you're going through, and it's really helping me." Like being able to help other people who are in my position or are in my position is, I think, the most therapeutic process. Like if I'm having a bad show or if I feel like I didn't do that great, and people come up to me afterwards and say like they really connected with the music, I'm like, oh my god, I'm rejuvenated. Like I'm ready to go
Yeah.
again. Writing music is I guess therapeutic. Getting it out there. I just love being creative with my lyrics, how I phrase them, what the song's about, how they fit into the music sonically. Um, so like, I don't know if the content, getting it off of my chest, is therapeutic because I'm a pretty open book. I like to talk about. I don't really hold anything back, but the
Mhm.
way that I write creatively is therapeutic. It's just nice to exercise that creative muscle.
Mhm. And was songwriting always one of your goals? I mean, I know you started off acting, but was that always the musical side was always there?
Absolutely, yeah, yes. It came about like, see, I started acting when I was about 6 years old, and that was like too early for my cognitive brain to really like start thinking about things creatively.
Mhm.
And then I found music quickly afterward, and I started writing music before I started writing movies or things in my head, like TV shows. I have always had like a lot of ideas of movies or TV shows in my head, and then I eventually got old enough to write them down on paper. But I started writing music first. Like
Mm-hmm.
before I even picked up an instrument, I started writing lyrics. So it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely something that I've always wanted to do, and it's just, it really, there's something about the creativity that coincides with writing lyrics and writing music that is just different and really relieving and satisfying as a creative person. It's just something
Mm-hmm.
so, you can do so many things with it, whether it's like writing a certain phrase to a guitar line, or in the editing process of when you're editing, adding the production value of just weird little noises, and you're just really trusting your gut a lot when it comes to writing music. You know, it's like it's like your soul is speaking. If you like, just kind of just like quiet your mind and everything else, it's really, to me, if you just follow your gut, that's where everything comes from. It's bizarre. I don't really know how to describe it other than just like following your gut. It's like, I didn't. How do I know that this sound? Like, I can hear a song before I write it. I can almost hear it in its entirety before I write the song, just in my head. And it's just like it's like my soul wrote it. I don't know. It's bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? Is that too
Yeah.
hippie?
No, not at all. It makes perfect sense. I mean, as a songwriter, I feel like you, I mean, you either got it or you don't. And I feel like when you do have it, like you said, you already have the song all written in your head. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's just like a proven skill set that you have as a person.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's something for me. It was, you can definitely hone in on it and try to exercise it and have it be something that you learn from and grow over the years.
Hmm.
But it does almost feel like something that you're kind of born with.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
early on, I just started writing lyrics, and it's just like I didn't get in the way of it. Like I didn't really analyze what I was writing about. I just kind of just followed my heart when it came to writing, and that's how it's always been, And I do get better over the years and experiment and try to come up with, like, I don't know. You do evolve, but it does come from a place that's you're kind of born with, I think.
Hmm. Do you remember the first song you wrote?
I do, yeah. It's really weird. It goes. I was like 12 years old, I think, or maybe a little bit younger, and I didn't write any guitar to it, but I wrote the
Hmm.
lyrics, and it's weird. It's like punk rock, but it goes. Today I woke up a different person. It seems like I have no reason to live. And then I swear in it. I go, effed up with 100 excuses. I'm so goddamn useless. Once cool with a total mojo. No more. 1, 2, 3, go. So I don't really know. I don't know how a 12-year-old,
Yeah.
why I would write that. I mean, I listened to a lot of Blink-182 and a lot of punk rock, and so there was a lot of inspiration from those
Hmm.
guys. But it's like I'm talking about not having a mojo anymore, like not having like it's like a swag or whatever. I don't even know
That's wild coming from a 12-year-old,
pretty goofy,
honestly.
right? So that was the first song I ever wrote. I don't even think I completed it. I think it's just that one verse.
You, it's, you're still going with the pop rock, the punk rock thing though, right? Like, is
Yes.
that the genre that you feel like you're most comfortable with?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to put it. I like to write kind of everything. I've
Hmm.
like experimented with like cinematic movie scores and hip hop and country and rock and everything, but definitely the genre I'm most comfortable with is punk rock. I don't know if it's because it's the first genre that like I really felt connected to. Like I
Hmm.
had my parents show me their music when I was really young, and I fell in love with it. And then also my older brother showed me his music, which is like Metallica, um, and then Blink-182 and punk rock is what I found. Like that was
Yeah.
my discovery on my own. So it's very precious to me. Um, but it is the thing I feel comfortable the most writing. It feels really authentic. I grew up around it. It inspired me in a bunch of different ways. It was the first concerts I ever went to.
Hmm.
Um, the first time I really felt like a young adult. Going to a concert by yourself without your parents was Warped Tour for me, and I don't know. It was just something about the genre that I've always really connected with. I think it's because I've always felt out of place too. Like with my career in acting,
Hmm.
I as much as I love it and I love being creative, and I've just never really felt like I belong in that world. You know, like I don't really have much in common with other actors unless I can talk about music with them or skateboarding or
Hmm.
something. Um, but that might be one reason why I connect so much with punk rock, because you know they're like the outcasts, they're the kids that
Yeah.
don't belong, the misfits or whatever, or at least that's what it used to be. And I really found my place in the punk rock world. You know, I just loved going to shows and moshing and picking people up when they fall down and getting covered in tattoos and skateboarding. And I don't know, it could be a product of my living situation too. I grew up in Southern California, and all you do is skateboard there and listen to punk rock and go to punk rock shows and do stupid stuff with your friends. And it's just, I don't know. And I also grew up around the American Pie movies. Those are my favorite movies growing up, and Blink-182 was sprinkled all throughout those
Hmm.
movies, and punk rock. And so it's just a product of my growing up and who I am. You know, I just really connected with it, and I do. It's the genre I feel most comfortable with. Long story short.
I mean, it makes sense. And it's making a comeback. I mean, slowly but surely it is coming back.
Yeah.
You mentioned acting. Do you have any acting, like experience acting that you have taken or skills that you've gotten from acting that you put towards songwriting or towards performing on stage,
Hmm.
would you say?
Yeah, sure. I think performing on stage definitely is something I've gotten from. I mean, I've only acted in front of like a live audience a couple of times,
Hmm.
but through acting and the popularity that it brought me, I was always in front of like massive audiences, like
Yeah.
4,000 people or more, um, through like my TV show, like Teen Wolf. Um, so I think that really helped get me fairly comfortable on stage.
Hmm.
I don't really get nervous to go on anymore. I get really excited and a little anxious, and I feel like I'm going to throw up a little bit, but it's mostly just excitement. And I do feel fairly confident on stage. You know, there's sometimes where I'm like, I'm judging myself, or I feel like I could be doing better, or saying funnier things to the audience, or getting them engaged more. But I think I'm just hard on myself. Um, but I do think that being in front of the camera for so many years, and just in front of people, kind of like just being myself,
Hmm.
um, has gotten me really comfortable on stage. But it's interesting because like this last tour, I was the only one with a microphone on stage when we were performing. And normally, whether I'm in a band or I'm on doing a panel for my acting, or I'm on stage with a bunch of different people, I have like people to like bounce ideas off of and joke around with. But it's just me, you know. So there is this added pressure of engaging the audience, you know, as much as
Hmm.
possible, and trying to make them have fun, or making sure they're having fun, and saying stupid stuff. And I kind of had turned it into a sort of a stand-up comedian routine. You know, I think there is something to say for artists who can be really inspirational on stage and say like heartfelt, really deep things. And I will
Hmm.
every now and then, but I want these people to have fun, you know, and I don't want them to think too hard. So I kind of just turned my routine into like a stand-up comedian routine. So I'm still trying to nail it down. I didn't have anything prepared at all, uh,
Hmm.
but it's interesting. Yeah, I do think that I pulled that from. I got comfortable on stage because I was comfortable in front of a camera in front of a lot of other
Hmm.
people before, so it helped.
Do you find that different locations react to your different like performance on stage?
Absolutely, yeah. I find that places like Los Angeles and Brooklyn,
Hmm.
there's a vibe where people are a little too cool to have fun and completely let loose, you know? And I always forget that before I go on
Hmm.
tour. I'm like, oh, cool, home show, LA show. It's going to be so much fun. Everyone's going to, like, be stoked and have, like, a great time. You know, LA is known for music, blah, blah, blah. And at these shows, they're always, like, the first LA show, people just seemed a little bit, like, guarded or something. I don't know if it was because it was their first show since COVID or
Hmm.
what, but the second show in LA was awesome. People were having a lot of fun. They really let loose. But it was the same vibe with Brooklyn. I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting because I do judge myself on sort of the audience's uh,
Reactions.
reaction and
Hmm.
attention span, you know. And I feel like if they're not having fun, I'm doing something wrong. So it's interesting. And then when that happens, I usually just start saying something really stupid, like really gross jokes, or I don't pick on people, but I will like point people out, or just like I'll go to the person who looks like they're having the least amount of fun and just sing like in their face. So I try to play into it, you know. I try not to
Hmm.
take it too personally, and I really try to like acknowledge the fact that like they're not having that much fun, or they could be having more fun, you know.
Yeah.
But there are definitely, yeah, different states that do like to have more fun. It's interesting. Um, I think like Midwest seems like they have a lot more fun, and so does the East Coast, like
Hmm.
Boston and Detroit. Detroit's more in the Midwest, but those shows were some of the best that we've ever played. Everyone just had so much fun, crowd surfing, people jumping on stage. It was awesome.
Is there one song that people reacted most to?
I mean, definitely the singles that I've released, like "Shut Up" and "Happy." Um, but there was one song called "Someone Else's Dream" off of my new EP that a lot of people seem to really enjoy.
Hmm.
And I would watch videos afterward, and people are like singing all the lyrics to it, and that was really cool and surprising. For some reason, I didn't think that. I mean, I love the song. It's one of my favorite songs, and I didn't release it as a single, so I just thought maybe it was going to get lost in the release. But
Hmm.
people really loved that song, so that was the biggest surprise I think, where people were singing a song I didn't think that they were going to. It was cool.
So with you going into music now, and now we have a Teen Wolf movie on the horizon, can fans hope that you'll be on the soundtrack?
Oh my god, I hope so. Yeah, I'm trying to get. When I left Teen Wolf, I was a producer. I directed an
Hmm.
episode. I was the lead, and I even had a song in a scene from like the first season. So I'm always trying to do everything I can creatively to be involved in the show, whether it's producing,
Hmm.
writing, directing. Some have music involvement. I always wanted, so that's always my intention. If it doesn't happen, it's because something went awry, you know.
Yeah.
But to the fans, I want them to know that like I'm always gonna try to have every single piece of me in Teen Wolf in some way, one way or another. You know, that's just
Hmm.
I'm not very. I'm satisfied if I'm not like that, but I love doing everything. I
Yeah.
love doing it all. You know, so that's I definitely want a big piece of me in the show, not just acting, but I would love to have or just write a song for Teen Wolf. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be so cool. Not have them pick a song that I've already written. Actually, just write one so it like fits the show really well. So we'll see.
What do you want to see in the movie?
Oh my god, I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I don't know, and I don't really care. Like I know that however it's going to be written is going to be awesome,
Hmm.
but I'm just excited to play this character again. It's been I don't even know how long, 5 years since I've played this character, and I miss him. I love him, and I think what I'm most excited for is to see them age. You know, last
Yeah.
we were in high school for what seemed like 10 years. You know, I was
Yeah.
18 when we started the show, and I was 25 when we finished. My character was 15 and then 18. So the time gap, it was only 3 years, but for me, it was like
Hmm.
10 years. Um, so I'm excited to see them age and get out of high school. High school was such a character in itself on the
Yeah.
show. So I'm excited to see how it's going to be without that sort of character of a school involved. You know, it'll be
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, because it's no longer going to be a teen show,
Yeah.
right? But do you think it'll still have those same underlining elements of that people loved about the show?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think what really carried the show were the relationships, mostly between my character and Dylan O'Brien's character, Styles.
Hmm.
That's to me what really kind of carried the show and what made people fall in love with it. And then we got to have a lot of fun on top of that with like the supernatural element, the romantic element, the horror. I think as long as we have the element of a really great relationship, whether it's friends or romantic, then everything else kind of falls into place. I hope. I have no
Yeah.
idea what it's about.
No, not even a guess.
No, I have no idea. I just think that we're going to be older. It's really all I know.
I
Maybe
mean, I
maybe we're gonna
don't.
be younger. Maybe it's a prequel.
It's a prequel
Yeah.
before he became a werewolf. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just called Teen.
So since it's October, it
Yes.
is Halloween month, also Hispanic Heritage Month. We're talking to Latinx actors, talent, and we were wondering, do you have an underrated TV show or movie or Latinx performance that you would recommend to everybody?
Oh my God. Well, Selena. I don't know if anyone saw Selena. Do I have one personally that I did? Or
No, just that you find yourself going back to
yeah,
time and time
Selena.
again.
I loved
The movie.
the movie and the new TV show on Netflix. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen the show. I've
Oh, it's
seen the
so
movie though.
good. And also, I'm biased
I
because
was like, isn't your brother in it?
my brother's in it. He plays
Okay.
Selena's boyfriend, but they do such a good job. Um, so like for me, I grew up in Santa Clarita, which is a little bit north of Los Angeles, and at the time it felt predominantly white, like a white neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I and I'm half Mexican, so we would go to my grandparents' house in Fontana all the time. But I lived this double life. My grandparents' house was very Hispanic. Uh, we listened to mariachi music, and my grandmother made menudo, and we would always go there for Christmas. And there were these huge parties that they would have. Everyone was screaming Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was a big person in my grandparents' lives for some reason. Um, and it was just this real cultural Latin experience, but then I
Hmm.
balanced it. I didn't mean to balance it out, but like I also had this other side of me, and I really felt like they did a good job in Selena, kind of giving a voice to. I know they were full Latino and everything, but they grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas,
Hmm.
and it just felt like it was this mix of heritage, Mexican heritage, and then this American culture also. So I felt like they give a voice to that, to kind of who I am. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so that's why I think I also like attached myself to that show, just because I was like, oh, that's kind of how I grew up. They didn't grow up speaking Spanish. She became a Spanish speaking singer because that's what was selling.
That
And
always blows my mind, that
right?
fact about how she didn't speak Spanish. And like in the movie, when she's doing interviews and she's like, I can't speak Spanish, but
Yeah.
she had multiple songs just in Spanish.
Yeah, it was really cool because that's how I grew up. I
Hmm.
didn't grow up speaking Spanish, and so it was nice to see that and to have like to give that sort of heritage a voice. Uh, so yeah, Selena for sure. I think people need to watch that immediately.
Yeah. And everybody needs to support your brother as well.
Yes, 100%. He's so good in it.
So with Halloween coming up, we're just gonna have a few fun, rapid Halloween questions. What was your favorite Halloween candy as a kid?
Oh my god! I mean, I loved Nerds Rope, but that doesn't really seem like a Halloween candy. I'm a classic candy corn guy. And also the candy corn
Really?
pumpkins. Those little like pumpkins that are like
Mm-hmm.
candy corn texture and flavor. I loved those. They just reminded me of Halloween. I didn't not like them. I know a lot of people hate them. So I was able to tolerate the taste, and
Mm-hmm.
it just immediately felt like Halloween to me. But I mean, I loved candy. I still do. Like Nerds, anything sweet and fruity, loved them.
Do you
Skittles.
have a favorite Halloween tradition or fall tradition?
Well, so my birthday lies on not on Halloween, but October 18th. So it's always been this month of just like extravaganza, and there's something about, like, I'm sitting outside right now and the weather is different. There's like this mysterious breeze in the air. I can never really describe the month of October other than just like mysterious nostalgia. It just feels so good to me. But I used to have a lot of haunted house birthday parties when I was a kid because it was so close to Halloween, my birthday. But the traditions have kind of died down. Being on tour and seeing the East Coast, different elements of it that I hadn't seen before, I really wanted to go trick or treating on the East Coast. There's just some cute neighborhoods that are just quintessential, like
Hmm.
hocus pocus neighborhoods. They just look like straight out of a movie. And I really want to go back to the East Coast and trick or treat, but we might make do here. There's some cute neighborhoods around here. I was talking to my girlfriend about it yesterday. I was like, "Do you want to go trick or treating with me?"
Do they give you candy?
Would they give me candy?
Yeah.
I don't know. I could make look like I'll wear a costume so they won't see that
I
I'm a man. They might just think I'm a big
see.
kid.
I
You
tried
know?
to trick or treat when I was a senior in high school, and they were like, "No."
Seriously?
Yeah.
You should have come to my house. I never would have turned you away.
And
That's
I was
awesome.
dressed up and everything. I
That's
didn't.
so lame.
Yeah. They were like, "No." I was like,
That's
"Damn,
so
I need to
mean.
go get my little brother."
Yeah, for real. Um, but yeah, Dia de los Muertos was also something big in our family. I spent a
Hmm.
lot of time in Mexico as a kid filming, and it was sort of always around like Halloween time when I was down there, and I really got hit with like Dia de los Muertos, and I just loved it so much, and I loved the sugar skulls, and I've always wanted to involve that and keep that tradition going. So I tried at some point, try to like decorate the house kind of like Dia de los Muertos and just pay homage to my heritage and where I came from.
Hmm.
Also, it's such a cool holiday. I just love it
Hmm.
so much. Like it's creepy. There's something really entertaining and fun about it, but it's like it really embodies Halloween to me. It's like some of the puppets or the piñatas that they make. It's creepy looking, and I
So
love it.
creepy. But piñatas are the best.
They're the
That's like the
best.
best party gift ever.
I know. I love them.
Your favorite go-to Halloween movie or like comfort film. Doesn't necessarily have to be scary.
Comfort film. I don't know. I gotta think of a good Halloween movie. I just oh. There's this great movie called Monster House. It was an animated movie. You know what I'm talking about? It's
Yeah,
this
where
house that
the
comes to life, and then my friend
yeah.
Sam Lerner plays a voice in it. But I love that movie. That's just the vibe I want. It's like it's so much like Hocus Pocus vibe. It's
Hmm.
that East Coast sort of neighborhood that I'm talking about that I just want to go trick or treat in. And that movie gives me the biggest Halloween vibes out of all of those
Hmm.
movies. So Monster House is great. And then I love spooky movies too, like old school ones, but like Halloween and Friday the 13th. But Michael Myers, Michael Myers. We used to watch those movies a lot as kids, and so those are kind of like staples and traditions in our life still, and they're just so creepy. And they're just praise. I just love the East. I think they're on the East Coast. There's just something about
Yeah.
East Coast Halloween neighborhoods that's just perfect.
Your favorite Halloween costume you've ever done.
I was Tom DeLonge one year, which I was really proud of.
Really?
Um, but this last Halloween, what happened? I was I went to go surprise my girlfriend, and I knocked on her door, and I put a sheet over my body, and I just cut holes for the eyes, like
Hmm.
Charlie Brown, like super classic Halloween.
Yeah.
And that one was fun. It wasn't really there wasn't too much thought put into it, but it was passionate. It was a passionate costume. I definitely got
Hmm.
crazier when I was a kid. My mom would make me costumes all the time. She made me like a Casper costume. She would face paint me like as Dracula. Um, but as I got older, I just kind of spent less time thinking about them. You know,
Hmm.
people tend to do like pop culture costumes a lot. Like I think a lot of people are doing the Squid Game costumes. I've never seen it, but I saw online that that's like the most sold costume for this year, the Squid Game costumes. And I try to stray away from that. Like I want to do stuff that's really unique and has
Yeah.
nothing to do with pop culture because some of those aren't very scary. Halloween
Hmm.
costumes now are more of like a costume contest rather than like a scary contest. So I try to do stuff that's really nostalgic. Like last year or 2 years ago, my band and I played a show on Halloween, and we dressed as Dia de los Muertos, like a dead mariachi
Hmm.
band, and I loved that. Because like you don't see
That's
that
so
too
fun.
much. It was so fun. We just painted our faces like skulls. We had this awesome mariachi outfit, and then we played a show like that. It was so cool. So like I try to do stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta get into the mood or else it's not fun.
Exactly.
And lastly, as a Scream alum, what's your favorite scary movie?
Ooh. I was just watching Signs last night, and there's something about that movie that's like jarring. It's really
Creepy.
creepy. I love aliens, and when it first came out, it just scared the hell out of me. Just because it was so real and a different
Hmm.
take on like alien invasion. I really liked that movie a lot. The Ring is always the worst, scariest movie I've ever seen. I can't watch it. I remember the first time I saw it, and like she opens the closet and there's that face there. I literally got the wind knocked out of me. It was such an involuntary scream. It was like I was like, "Ah!" It was completely. It was like somebody punched me in the stomach. I didn't mean to scream,
Hmm.
and ever since then I've been messed up from that movie. So that's probably the scariest movie I've ever seen. But I was also really young, so maybe now it doesn't
Yeah.
hold up as much. Um,
It's still pretty
it's
scary.
creepy, dude. I don't
It is
like
creepy.
it.
It's really creepy.
It's disturbing, you know,
I was her for Halloween once and I scared myself. Like I freaked myself out.
dude.
I
That's
was
so
like,
scary.
this is not
Yeah, I would feel
this
like it would
isn't
curse
it.
me if I was her for Halloween.
Probably.
So
But
scary.
it's Halloween. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me
Yeah, of
about
course.
everything and all the in-betweens.
Yeah,
It's fun
it was fun.
and I look forward to the movie
Me too.
and any future tours you're gonna go on or
Hmm.
any albums. Do you
Oh,
have anything coming up for the fans that you'd
yes, I'm
want
actually
to
recording
shout out?
I'm recording a full length album next month. Um, so that's exciting. I've only released EPs from this point on, and now I'm gonna do a full length album, which I'm really excited about. Uh, Definitely gonna do a lot more tours. Um, this last tour, I was opening up for all the bands, and I want to keep moving forward and
Mm,
taking bigger steps. So I think this next tour I'm going to do, depending on who it's with, I'm going to try to either do a direct support. I don't think I'm at the point of a headliner just yet. I've done headliners before, but I want to keep working my way to that. But I just had so many fans come up to me after the show, and they're like, "You should not be opening. You should be either headlining or right before the headliner." You know, I'm like, "All
mm,
right, cool. So maybe I'll put that next." So definitely got more tours on the horizon. I'm playing a couple of festivals this year, or one this year and then one next year, because this year's almost up. And yeah, got more music videos coming, and everything is. I'm just gonna keep moving in every avenue, whether it's acting or music or touring or editing or whatever. I'm gonna keep doing some cool stuff. So lots to look forward to.
well, we're all very excited here at EW to see what comes next.
Thank you. Yeah, somebody here says they'd love to see an international tour, and in Germany, that would be awesome. I definitely want. I've toured in the UK before, but I definitely want to come back overseas. So you'll see me there.
Everybody will love it, and
Yeah.
everybody will keep your eyes out. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning into Songwriters Camp today, and we'll see you for the next episode.
Thanks for letting me hang out.
Of course.
Bye.